Thank you. Look at this packed room. This is great. Can I just mention, I love this slide. How cool is it to see some of those little players get the second slot there? Moving right along. Hi. This talk is the life hack of being a developer. This is a developer conference. Sorry, I keep moving my hands. I want to tell you how being a developer and you as a developer is a life hack. Before we get there, who am I? DK. Everyone calls me DK. I'm Damian Karzon. I'm a principal engineer at Pinch Payments. We're one of the sponsors, so you'll see all the purple shirts around. Come and talk to us about payments or automation or payment automation. That's what we do. I'm also a home automation enthusiast. I use that term loosely because I just love to tinker with things. So what I'm going to show you today is me tinkering with things to get to a state that is ready for me to talk about it to you all. So, some context. Developers are weird. We think about things differently. We are problem solvers. We look at things through a different lens to regular people. My partner hates this about me. She's often venting to me, and I'm like, well, to solve that, you got to do this. She's like, no, I don't want to solve it. I'm like, all right, don't talk to me. So, today, we only have 20 minutes and I have a lot of content, so I am going to talk pretty fast. If you have any questions afterwards, see me then. So, we're going to get started by talking about the tools that I use for these home automations. And then I'm going to run through some quick-fire automations to show you just some of the interesting ones I have running around my house. Just to give you an idea or inspire you to do some home automation. And then I'm going to look at two of my main fun ones that I really enjoy. One of which is my automated garden, and the other is my recipe automation. So they go hand in hand because I'm a foodie. All right, let's go. Tools. At the center of my home automation is a program called Home Assistant. This is kind of the hub that everything in my house connects to. So all the random sensors, the light switches that are Wi-Fi connected, my cameras feed into it. It has everything, and it's the hub that everything happens from. There's a bunch of similar tools out there. This was the one that I went with. I'm going to look at Node-RED as well. Node-RED is a automation builder that connects very well into Home Assistant. It gives you like a graphical interface. If you've ever seen a workflow builder before, it's similar to that, but quite dev-focused, and it's not as user-friendly as some of the other ones that you might use. And that's because it's core and focused on Internet of Things type automations. So a really good connection into Home Assistant. Then I'm going to show N8N, which is a workflow automation tool again. This one's a bit more user-friendly, and it's designed more to connect to external apps. So it uses like API connections or has database connections and can do data transformations, that kind of thing. And of course, Slack. You all know Slack. My house has a Slack where all of my home automation stuff feed into, so that's why it's featured. And you'll see a bit more of that later on. All right, so let's get into it. Some quick-fire automations. As I said, I don't have much time, so I'm just going to run through a bunch and show you a little bit of how they work. Feel free to reach out to me after if you want to see more. All right, the first one. Nice and simple, bin reminders. The amount of the amount of love that I get from this one, and it's one of my easiest. So it's a weekly schedule that happens the night before bin day to remind me to take my bins out. Though this does a couple of kind of smart things. One is it tells me which of my bins need to go out. And the other is it takes a photo from my carport camera where the bins normally go. So when I get this notification at 10 p.m. at night, I can see, actually the bins aren't out, I need to go do that. Super simple, right? This is what that automation looks like. So Node-RED is built on these nodes. Each node does one thing and then moves along. A timer, check when the next recycling bin is. Do a code calculation to see if it's recycling or green based on that data. Grab the output from the camera, wait a second to let it actually save the file, and then notify Slack. Job done. Nice and linear. We'll get to some more complex ones later. Now, solar. Solar was one of the first things that I connected to my Home Assistant just because I had it there. And over the years that I've had my Home Assistant, I've evolved it significantly. So one of the first things I started doing was outputting how much my solar was producing each day. Yeah, that was cool. And then I figured, I know how much power costs from my electricity bill. So let's calculate that and give me an actual value on savings. So I get a value on savings per day. And then I actually know how much is being sold back to the grid and how much that is worth. So let's calculate that as well. So now every day, I get a notification to my Slack channel for solar that says, how much was produced, how much was sold back to the grid. And then I took that even further and started monthly accumulating those and yearly accumulating those. So now I get a monthly notification to say how much I potentially saved that month, or a yearly one that says how much I saved that year. No point other than like informational at this stage, but it's a fun thing to do, and the data was there. So what does that look like? This one gets a bit more complex because it has to pull multiple different sensors from Home Assistant. And then there's a calculation step in the middle. And then it sets multiple different sensor values afterwards, as well as the Slack notification. So now we're starting to get a little bit more complex. Applications, or appliances, sorry. So this one, my washing machine, dryer, and dishwasher at home are dumb devices. They don't connect to the internet or the Wi-Fi or anything like that. But I do have a smart plug on those appliances. All that plug does is tell me how much power usage is happening for those devices. And from that information alone, I can tell if it's running or not. So I've put together a bunch of automations based on that. If any of these appliances start, I have a dashboard that shows in my Google Home Hub in my kitchen. Probably don't really need it, but I do it. But when it finishes, so I have a notification that goes into my Slack. And because I already know how much power costs, I calculate how much each run of my appliances costs, and I put that into Slack. I also have it announce over my Google Home that it's finished. So anyone at home knows exactly when my washing machine finishes or my dishwasher finishes. This is super helpful because my office is downstairs and the Home Hub is upstairs. So I get the Slack notification rather than the announcement, and that is what tells me to action it. And this is what that workflow looks like. This one is a bit odd because it's power usage that has to be timed. So instead of just a single event happening, it's a value over a period of time that tells us if the washing machine is running or not. And then from that running state, we do a bunch of different things. So you can see it. One of them is showing the casting to the kitchen dashboard. Another is announcing on Google, and then the Slack notification. Cool. Starting to get a bit useful? No? Yeah. All right. Maybe this one will be a bit useful for you all. So my doorbell camera has people detection, and that sends an event into my Home Assistant. So I can trigger a bunch of automations based on that. One of the most simple ones is if there's a person at the door and it's nighttime, turn on the front light. Slightly smarter than a motion-detected light, but yeah, you can be the judge of if it's worthy or not. I also, if there's a person at the front door, I show that camera feed into my Google Home Hub. That one's actually more useful than it sounds because the Home Hub makes it sound, and if I'm in the living room, I can tell when someone's at the door before they even hit the doorbell. I'm not a stalker, don't worry. I also have, if someone presses the doorbell, I take a photo of them and send it into my Slack. I should probably also note that I'm the only one in that Slack, so it's all just me. But I do have a channel that's everyone who's pressed my doorbell, just in case. You never know what's going to happen, right? So this is what that automation looks like. You can see there's kind of two entry points. One is the person, one is the doorbell, and they do a bunch of different things based on that. This one looks a lot messier than when I explain it because there's a whole lot of like waiting operations. So if it's turning the light on, it makes sure that it's only on for a certain amount of time after there's no longer a person there, which is just some more useless automation stuff that we can do because it's fun. I originally built this one and it was literally person, light on. And then, like, as it evolved, it kind of turned into this. And that's kind of where us as developers, like, take things. We love to tinker, and we love to just, see what else we can do. It's often called Jurassic Park programming. Like, just because you can doesn't mean you should. All right, quick break. Make sure you play your bingo card. If you don't have a pinch stamp, come and see us afterwards. All right, now we get into the fun bits. Automated garden. So I have automation. I have an automated garden that waters itself and has grow lights to help it grow. Which sounds wild, right? So this is what it looks like. I could not grow anything outside. We have terrible possums and bush turkeys and everything like that just eats anything I try and grow. Within a day or two, it would be gone. So I finally had enough and I thought, let's just build an inside garden. So I started with a little pot in front of that window and I was like, yeah, I can water this every day. Got to about a week and I got bored of that. I'm like, it's not for me. So I spent the next 3 months automating it. I mean, it's been running for 2 years now. It's only, I went away for 5 weeks and it was in charge of my garden. One of the 9 plants died, which is a pretty good rate. I mean, if I was in charge of watering them myself, it might have been the other way around, where one survived. But this is quite a simple automation as well. So the shelves that they sit on, there's pot plants in there, and what I have is the grow lights. These are USB LED strips, and they plug into a smart plug that I turn on and off through Home Assistant. That's super simple. I then took a fountain pump from Bunnings and connected that to a similar smart plug. So if I need to water it, I turn on that smart plug and the fountain pump turns on. So these ones are quite simple because they're specific things that on or off. But I thought for those grow lights, it doesn't quite make sense to just turn them on and off because where's the fun in that? So before it turns itself off, it checks the weather for the day. If it's been a cloudy day, it should leave the lights on longer. Makes sense, right? Yeah, I thought so too. It took quite a while to get there, but yeah, there we are. So then the self-watering. This one is interesting, and I don't show it all here, but I basically have flags in my Home Assistant that says each day of the week if it should water or not. And then it goes through that, checks if it's that day, and turns on the water. The reason I do this is because I have different automations that turn on and off those flags based on what season we're in. So if we're in summer, we want to water it every day. If we're in spring, it's like 3 times a week. If it's winter, it's once a week. And that's the kind of evolution that I've gone through in this self-watering garden, because that's kind of how you would water them anyway in real life, right? So I did end up killing a few before I got to this stage. I did have a small water leak at one point in winter when I was watering it too much, but I have solved that problem now, and I am moving forward. All right, that brings us to dinner automation. This one is a very interesting one. It's one I've been working on recently, and basically the hardest thing about being an adult is working out what to cook for dinner every night of the rest of your life. So I decided let's automate that so that I don't have to make that decision every day. I'm going to demo this, hopefully, but here's the rough goal of it. I wanted to get a whole heap of recipes that I could use for this. I wanted to organize them in a way that made sense and I could actually work out which ones I want for dinner. And then I automated the selection of those for my weekly meal plans. So that's one less decision every day. I won't tell you how long this one took because it's still ongoing effectively. So for this, I use a tool called N8N. N8N is one of those workflow automation programs, and it allows me to connect to a bunch of different, allows me to connect to a whole bunch of different applications or services that I need to. So under the hood of this, I use a tool called Mealy, which is recipe management software. So one of the things it does really well is allow you to drop in a URL from a recipe website. It parses it into a nice consistent format within your thing, removes all the SEO junk so you don't need to read their life story, and then puts it into a nice centralized location. I was like, yes, that is perfect what I want. However, I didn't want to drop in all of the recipe URLs that I wanted, so I automated it. So this is the automation for bringing in those recipes. I don't have much time, but I will quickly explain it. I have a list of sitemaps for a bunch of different recipe websites, and what this automation does is parse every URL in that sitemap, pull out the ones that are for recipes, feed that into Mealy, so Mealy can pick it up and save it. So there's a lot going on there. I won't cover it too much, but that's effectively what it does. And then number 2, so that pulled in 16,000 recipes into my Mealy instance. Lots of these were irrelevant. So I needed a way to categorize these to make sure that I only picked up like the dinner ones for dinner recipes. But I also wanted to like play around with some AI. So this is the automation that I used to categorize it. Well, I say that, but there was 3 that looked effectively the same as this, that did all of this different categorizations. So, breakfast, lunch, dinner meals, if it was a main, entree, dessert. And then this one here is putting it into different cuisine types. So I put the recipe through an AI and told it, these are the categories, choose one. And then I updated that in Mealy. So now, The last one is the actual meal selection. So this one's quite easy once you do all the other stuff. Pull in all the recipes for dinner, randomly select 5, map it to next week. So I was going to show a demo of this actually working, but I can't show you my Mealy instance, so we'll see what it comes out with. So you can see here, oh, that looks terrible. Chicken shawarma for Monday. What do we got? Beef rissoles with grilled potato and spinach salad for Tuesday. Slow cooker Moroccan chicken recipe for Wednesday. So there you go. So what that now does is update my Mealy instance with these 5 recipes. So hopefully this shows you what you can do with home automation, and through being a developer and the tools that we are familiar with and the things that we know and how to problem solve, we can do so much cool stuff. All right, so there you go. I hope this has inspired you. Go have a look at some of these tools and tinker. If it takes you months, hell, if it takes you years, go for it. It's a great, fun journey. Thank you.